I have no sound, Syl. Can you hear me? But I have no sound from you. No audio, Syl. Can you hear me? But Syl, there is no sound from you. No.
All right, now, yes. I don't know for
Oh,
whatever.
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Hello. Hello, and welcome to Moreness-Culture. Good morning, Syl.
Good morning, Beena. Good morning, Beena. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
I know you are feeling good and doing good, so I'm not going to ask you. Just wishing you good morning, and I think it is enough. Hello and welcome to Moreness-Culture, everyone who is watching us live and will watch us recorded. Please do like, subscribe, and also leave a comment here. And if you have any question, please do ask a question because we love questions. And I always say that love questions are love notes from the universe, and we love to receive these love notes from the universe. If you will ask, it will bring us more and more and more awareness and of course moreness. This is what's the aim and this is what's the fun in life for us. The most important and the top priority in our life to have and to be able to extract moreness and value in every situation, in any circumstances. This is what we are doing, and Syl has shared in such a wonderful way that it is becoming my own life goal also. So this is how I have learned and I'm learning from him that to extract value and moreness in every situation.
Exactly.
Still, the should mindset comes in. Yes, yes. Still, the should mindset comes in many times in my life. I do catch it like, oh yes, okay, again, Beena, which is fun, which is good, but still, today just something happened. One of my friend going through some situation and changes in her life, and she shared something, and the realization or the understanding from that sharing from her was that should mindset makes us delusional. And that is something we are going to sell in future. It is not our topic now, but at some point in future, we will ask Syl again, and he will share more about it. Because not in exact words, but in other words, of course, he was sharing about these things, that how the should mindset, the whole idea of should and following should makes us so I don't have, I was actually slaves for others. And we refuse to see what we are actually seeing, observing, understanding. But still, we block our own consciousness, our own awareness to understand it fully because of should. So this is a very, very good topic. And of course, it needs a lot of detail. So we will come back to this in future. Today, we are going to continue with the introduction from an introduction of two people. They both are coming into my life, and of course, they are coming into your life also. Via Zoom, we are going to meet them, Carlos and Don Juan. This is the word, okay? Yes.
Yeah.
And these are new names. But as Norma mentioned, she said in the comment to me that you are going to meet. Exactly, Norma. I'm glad that you understand because Syl says that, okay, he missed that, maybe because of connection. Yesterday, I was saying that I don't know how, why, but I feel that some people in my life I never met physically, I never see them, I never actually hear them, but still I feel energetically their presence.
Yes.
And Don
Yes,
Juan
people.
and Carlos, also one of them. Still, we are losing your audio again and again. Okay.
That's very powerful.
You
I
were
feel
saying
the
something,
same
sir?
way. Say that
Yes.
again.
And no, I was just saying that it is not something I'm just saying that, okay, I'm going to assume like that. It's an energy. I cannot explain it, but I can feel that energy. When Carlos was sharing about that how he met Don Juan, I was actually seeing that those stations. I have never seen any Greyhound station, but I was in my mind. The pictures, the images were coming like flesh. Yes, just for a microsecond, but I could see that. I saw that person who might be Don Juan and Carlos. I haven't seen his pictures yet, but
Never really
still.
met Don
So
Juan yet, right? Because
yes,
we like now when this is Carlos's introduction to book one, and so
yes,
he's just talking. He's kind of doing a background overview. But when the chapter starts, then you'll have direct conversation with Don Juan,
yes, yes,
and you'll really get to feel and see and know Don Juan more.
yes. So maybe intuitively, this is what I was saying, that this reading, capital R reading, is going to be super special for me.
Oh yeah,
I'm really
oh yeah,
looking forward and excited for
oh yeah,
this.
oh yeah, me too.
So, Syl, will you please share?
Yes, I shall in a moment. I'm
Okay.
just it seems like such a lot of things to do. Just sharing it
Mhm.
to the group, sharing it to the page. I don't
Oh
know.
yes, it is wonderful. And we saw your picture today when you were searching for the covers, and it
Say that again, please.
and we saw your picture in Google search when we were searching for covers for Don
Say
Juan's
again. You're a
book.
little soft. You need to be close
Wow,
to. Sorry.
wow. Okay, maybe I need to change my audio setting. It is something that maybe
Increase the
has.
mic sensitivity, maybe.
Yes. Is it better now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So you were saying
Okay.
something about a picture.
I was saying that we saw your picture in Google search when you were searching
Oh
for Don Juan,
yeah.
and like, wow,
I,
that was wonderful,
well, I
enormous.
have to explain this because if you don't know what you're talking about, that it's not enough information there. I was searching for images that I can use as background images, right? So I put in Carlos, Don Juan, Toltec, and it brought up my profile picture with lessons from Don Juan. I'm not sure it's connected to Goodreads. I don't know how it works. It's very mysterious to me. But anyway, it's there. So very, very interesting. Very strange. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Very unusual. So that was kind of exciting to see that there. And again, we were talking about attunement. Yeah. And Don Juan talks about omens. I prefer anomalies to omens because omens, as I've explained before in previous broadcasts, that omens they carry a lot of baggage, right? And anomalies, when you understand it from that point of view, it makes it much
Mm,
better. And then there's a greater clarity to it, and you understand how to deal with it and relate to it. And it's
mm.
most helpful. And so this is important to be aware of that from Don Juan's perspective he'd say, oh, that's a good omen or interesting omen. But to me it's
Yes,
attunement. It's saying that it's connecting me to Carlos and Don Juan.
exactly.
That's very cool.
Exactly.
That's very
And
cool.
actually, we were discussing this connection and connectivity with them via reading, and it materialized. So this is wonderful.
Exactly as Beena said, we were connected. We are connected. She's feeling that connection. Brilliant. All right, let's continue. You remember where we left off yesterday, Beena?
Almost, yes.
Right. We just go here to the comments. See, chat. There we go. Okay.
Mm.
And one more thing to do actually. Just share it with Norma so that she has the link. Sorry, this being a little slow here. I'm downloading a bunch of files, uploading some, I should say, rather. And, all right, so here we go. This is it. Share it. Share it to Norma. She likes to get the links for it. Share in Messenger. There we go. All right, very good. Very good indeed. We're all set up for the chat. There we go. I don't remember where we left off, Beena, do you? Because my computer rebooted, so it didn't save the place in the file. Okay, it's somewhere here, though. Yeah, I don't think we did this for the Europeans, so. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yes.
This is where we.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
You go ahead, Beena.
Okay. Thus, it became obvious to me that Don Juan's knowledge had to be examined in terms of how he himself understood it. Only in such terms could it be made evident and convincing. In trying to reconcile my own view with Don Juan's, however, I realized that whenever he tried to explain his knowledge to me, he used concepts that would render it intelligible to him, as those concepts were alien to me. Trying to understand his knowledge in the way he did placed me in other untenable position. Therefore, my first task was to determine his order of conceptualization. While
It's
working
very
in
key.
that direction,
It's very key. This is very key, right?
yes,
Now,
yes,
Carlos is focusing on the order of the conceptualization, not on conceptualization itself. It's a great
hmm,
failing of Carlos that he doesn't understand conceptualization and he doesn't find ways to reconceive. Yes, because he doesn't practice perspective shifting as a skill, as a default skill, as the core profound skill. And then that's why Way of Impeccability, my Way of Impeccability, the program, is also called the Language of Conceptionality, because the Dictionary of Power, that's all about having conceptions that enable you to conceive more. Yes, to extend your conception of reality, to conceive outside of your usual and typical. This is very, very, very
hmm,
important. Otherwise, you can forget about it, right? Many things. We can't shift, can't change, can't learn, don't change your conception. Very important.
yes. Therefore, my first task was to determine his order of conceptualization. While working in that direction, I saw that Don Juan himself had placed particular emphasis on a certain area of his teachings, specifically the uses of hallucinogenic. I don't know why it's so difficult
You
for
are
me.
saying it. Just don't stop. Just continue. You say
Okay,
it right. I don't know why you pause.
hallu- okay, hallucinogenic plants
No,
on the basis of this
hallucinogenic. Not not.
hallucinogenic,
There you go.
hallucinogenic plants on the basis of this realization. I revised my own scheme of categories. Don Juan used separately and on different occasions three hallucinogenic plants: peyote, lophophora, williamsi, Jimson weed, Datura enoxiacin, D-metalloideus. Okay. And a mushroom, possibly, I don't know, this is
Psilocybin.
psilocybe mexicana, psilocybe mexicana. Since before their contact with Europeans, American Indians have known the hallucinogenic properties of these three plants. Because of their properties, the plants have been widely employed for pleasure, for curing, for witchcraft, and for attaining a state of ecstasy. We have read this. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
In the specific in the specific context of his teachings, Don Juan jumped. Okay, related the use of Datura inoxia and psilocybe mexicana to the exertion of power, a power he called an ally. He related the use of Lophophora williamsi to the acquisition of wisdom or the knowledge of the right way to live. The importance of the plants was, for Don Juan, their capacity to produce stages of peculiar perception in a human being. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Their capacity to produce stages of peculiar perception in a human being. And I was never been aware of these details. But whenever people ask me, because many of my friends, they do use alcohol, and some of them were using different like weed and other things in the past. Maybe now also, I don't know. But they were asking, have you ever tried? And I said no. So the first assumption from their side was, oh, because of your religion, oh, she's Muslim. So they were laughing and teasing me. And I said, I don't like anything which can alter my state of mind. I never actually said that. Okay, why I was saying that, it was purely intuitive thing. And I said, I don't want to be in that position. And Don Juan explained it in exactly the same way right now. Of course, very
This
clear
is
and
Carlos's perception of what Don Juan believes.
exactly. Again, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so let's just pause on that, right? And
Yes.
we are going to see that Carlos gets lots of things wrong. So
Yes.
Carlos is, presenting things as a great authority here because he's Mr. Academic, sophisticated Western culture, and Don Juan is just an Indian. What does he know, right? So keep that in mind. Carlos is very wrong about many things. Keep going, Beena. Are you muted, Beena?
Oh, sorry. Where it is? Am I muted still?
No, now you're live, right?
Okay.
So you were there.
Sorry. I was saying that, okay, the way you said that, just an Indian, it reflects a lot.
Oh yeah.
Mindset.
Oh yeah. Well, it comes later. You'll see. It's not me saying this. Carlos himself says it. He becomes aware of it later because he goes over his notes and he realizes that
Yes.
he underestimates, and so he's quite
Yes.
honest in a way, Carlos, which is good. He shows us.
Okay.
So Carlos, the character in the story, and Carlos, the writer, are two different, right? Because Carlos, the writer, is writing this much later, right? He's going over his notes, right? Which this has happened by the time he's actually writing this and going over this, it's 5-6 years later already, right? And so he's quite honest in showing what an idiot he was, which is, as Carlos the writer,
Yes.
it's quite admirable.
Wow. Okay. Thus, he guided me into experiencing a sequence of these stages for the purpose of unfolding and validating his knowledge. I have called them states of non-ordinary reality, meaning unusual reality as opposed to the ordinary reality of everyday life. The distinction is based on the inherent meaning of the states of non-ordinary reality. In the context of Don Juan's knowledge, they were considered as real, although their reality was differentiated from ordinary reality.
Right, right. And this concept of non-ordinary reality, back then when Carlos this came out, it was revolutionary. It was a massive, great
Yes.
big deal. Right? It was huge. Now
Yes.
we take it for granted and we accept it. But like there was great resistance to this idea. What do you mean there's non-ordinary reality? There's only one reality and that's it. And all this other stuff is just nonsense. Right? There's
Wow.
great denial and anger even at it. Very interesting.
Don Juan believed the states of non-ordinary reality to be the only form of pragmatic learning and the only means of acquiring power. He conveyed the impression that other parts of his teachings were incidental to the acquisition of power. This point of view permeated Don Juan's attitude toward everything not directly connected with the states of non-ordinary reality. So, this point of view permeated Don Juan's attitude toward everything not directly connected with the state of non-ordinary reality. Okay. Throughout my
So
field
let's
notes,
go back over that, right? You were talking about me sharing about extracting value. Yeah, this is something that from my earliest, for me on my quest, it was always about value. applicable, actual, useful value, right? So
Yes.
Don Juan has the same mindset. Don Juan believed the states of non-ordinary reality to be the only form of pragmatic learning and the only means of acquiring power. It's not exactly accurate, but it's interesting that Carlos has this idea from Don Juan, right? So Carlos gets there is some value to it. Certainly, Don Juan does believe very strongly that these are, but not the only. But anyway, uh, he misunderstood a bit. But still, it's very powerful that Don Juan has this mindset of pragmatic learning, right, and acquiring power, which is acquiring energy. It's a very big deal. It's a
Hmm.
very big deal.
Yes. Yes. This point, okay, directly non-agree. Throughout my field notes, there are scattered references to the way Don Juan felt. For example, in one conversation, he suggested that some objects have a certain amount of power in themselves, although he himself had no respect for power. Objects, okay, power objects. He said that, he said they were frequently used as aids by lesser brujos. I
Yeah.
often asked him about such objects, but he seemed totally uninterested in discussing them. When the topic was raised again on another occasion, however, he reluctantly consented to talk about them. There are certain objects that are permeated with power, he said. There are scores of such objects which are fostered by powerful men with the aid of friendly spirits. These objects are tools, not ordinary tools, but tools of death. Yet they are only instruments. They have no power to teach. Properly speaking, they are in the realm of war objects designed for strife. They are made to kill, to be
Yeah.
heard. Wow.
Yeah. So we're going to discover. All right. Yeah. Right. So in this reading, that's what I was saying yesterday also, and I'll repeat it many times. The
Yes.
capital R reading of Carlos's works and to understand Don Juan's world requires extreme discernment, capital D discernment, because there are worlds within worlds within worlds with Don Juan. And this is one side of his knowledge, this Brujo, Diablero side of knowledge, power objects and all of this regular kind of sorcery stuff, which Don Juan doesn't actually care for. He learned it, he knows it, but he doesn't use it. He's just aware of it, and he could if he really wanted to, but it was part of his lineage, and it was something that was necessary at one time. But then they evolved, and they said, well, this is not really cool. I mean, they chased power, and they missed the boat. Some of his lineage, right? The ancestry of his lineage, and so they shifted to say no, but power seeking power is if power for its own sake is a dead end. You've got to seek freedom. Yes. Otherwise, power is going to corrupt you, and that's what happened. Right? At least not to them specifically, but to others. And they saw this. His lineage at least saw the light. So Don Juan is aware of this and knows this and can use it, but doesn't like it, doesn't like to use it, doesn't want to use it, and is also involved in more, but it's still a part of his reality, or at least his knowledge, right? So it's interesting that he even introduces Carlos to this stuff, but there is a logic to it, as we'll see before, as we'll see later. Don Juan is engaged in an extremely sophisticated capital M maneuver with Carlos. It's an incredible thing that he does, and we'll see. It's a big deal. Right? All right.
This is very interesting, Syl, what you just mentioned, because you actually emphasize on that Don Juan was aware of it. It doesn't mean that he was interested or using it and all that, because
He's
we
not just
assume
aware
that
of
that
it,
if
but
you are
he's knowledgeable on it. In other words, he
yes,
has
yes,
the ability to do these things.
exactly,
But
exactly.
come
And
on, it's pointless. Just because I
it's
know,
okay.
what?
So I can understand that because when I was getting lessons from my teachers here in Pakistan, and somewhere into they know more than astrology, and they were more into other energy and other things also. They were sharing a lot of things.
Oh,
If I would practice that, of course I could use that, but I'm able, but I'm not interested. I never tried that because this idea is so childish for me.
yeah, yeah,
It's so
exactly.
childish. I don't know why, but even when people say that, okay, oh, that person could see behind the wall, I don't want to spend my life just to sake for the sake of
Exactly.
just
Exactly.
acquiring this skill.
Right.
Like I don't want to. I'm not curious. I can go there and see by myself in just a second. So okay, yes, it's. I'm not saying it's useless, but what I'm saying that it is not my thing. It's not my cup of tea. Even when I'm able to, even when I can. I'm not saying about this particular skill, but I'm saying in general. So yes, I agree with you what you are saying, that where people get they build a perception of someone. Oh, she is aware of this, or she is aware of that, knowledgeable about these things. It doesn't mean that I am into these things.
It all
So
depends which
yes,
which paradigm you're in, right? If you're
exactly.
into the superiority paradigm, then of course, you got all these powers. But it's a trap. It's a trap. Remember, I shared
Oh,
about those Buddhist texts, right? Um,
yes.
it's called the Buddhist Texts by Christmas Humphreys. Christmas Humphreys is just fantastic with a scholar. Anyway, so
Mhm.
he put this together, and it's really fascinating reading. Something at some point we could read, right? And one of those, a lot of lists there, and one of the lists was the powers of a lesser saint, I think it was, or a lesser master, right? Either way, but I think it said lesser saint. Anyway, and among these powers was like the all-seeing eye and the all-hearing ear and walking on water. So all these
Wow.
different powers, but they were of a lesser saint or a lesser master. Again, same
Yes.
logic. In same logic. Don't get enamored with all these powers. You get lost, and you never get to true freedom. Right? And in Buddhism, you'll never get to be a Buddha. Right? You get caught up in this lesser nonsense, which is the same point that we're on here with Don Juan. But anyway, now
Yes.
see Carlos's interest in it. Yes, and Don Juan is sharing because Carlos has this deep fascination and interest. And and watch how Don Juan is hooking Carlos.
Wow.
That's the point here. That's Don Juan's greatest strategy. He's hooking Carlos
Wow.
because he needs to. He needs to pull him into his world. Carlos is very enamored with his world. He loves being in his world, right? He just thinks this is the bee's knees over there. So to pull him out of that world into Carlos, into Don Juan's world, this is his task. This is his challenge.
Wow.
And one might argue he doesn't fully succeed,
Mm.
but it's to our
Yes.
benefit. The universe is involved here. Carlos is being used. He has the choice, but he does his job, which is to share and bring into our reality all of the smallness that Don Juan has. Without Carlos being an nincompoop and all of these nonsense, we would never have all of it. Right? All right, please continue, Beena.
So you scroll a bit more than.
Oh, they are made to kill, to be hurled. Right?
Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes.
What kind
They
of
are made to
objects?
kill. Yes. They are made to kill, to be heard. What kind of objects are they, Don Juan? They are not really objects. Rather, they are types of power. How can one get these types of power, Don Juan? That depends on the kind of object you want. How many kinds are there? As I have already said, there are scores of them. Anything can be a power object. Well, which are the most powerful then?
Right. Now, do you see Carlos's kind of childishness here? He doesn't hear what Don Juan says. And that superiority paradigm of ranking and hierarchy in academia, yeah, he's focused on the objects, which is the most powerful. Don Juan is saying it doesn't really matter. Anything can be a power object, but he doesn't hear that. You see that, Beena? You see, he doesn't hear it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Bubble.
The power of an object depends on its owner, on the kind of man he is. A power object fostered by a lesser Brujo is almost a joke. On the other hand, a strong, powerful Brujo gives his strength to his tools. Which power objects are most common then? Which ones do most Brujos prefer? There are no preferences. They are all power objects, all just the same. Do you have any yourself, Don Juan? He did not answer. He just looked at me and laughed. He remained quiet for a long time, and I thought my questions were annoying him.
Look at that
There are
assumption. And I
yes,
thought my questions were annoying him. Superiority paradigm, usual.
there are limitations on those types of powers, he went on. A point as such a point is, I'm sure, incomprehensible to you. It has
Right there,
taken me
right
nearly
there, right there. Right? Don Juan tells him right from the get-go. He's got limited awareness and perception ability. But of course, he cannot hear this because he's in that bubble of being this Western man superior. He's an academic. He's got lots of knowledge, blah, blah, blah. Can't hear it.
But such a point is, I'm sure, incomprehensible to you. It has taken me nearly a lifetime to understand that by itself. And then I can reveal all the secrets of these lesser powers, rendering them rather childish. I had tools like that at one time when I was very young. What power objects
Yeah,
did you have?
yeah, yeah. You know, Carlos, I just want to smack him. Sorry, you're going to hear me say this a lot. But, I mean, it's good because he gets more explanation. But if he'd heard what Don Juan was saying, he would say, wait, you're telling me an ally is more powerful than the power objects. You need to be asking about the ally, not about the power objects. You see? He misses it. He doesn't hear. Fascinating.
Yes. What power objects did you have? Maize, pinto, crystals, and feathers. What is maize pinto, Don Juan? It is a small kernel of corn which has a streak of red color in its middle. Is it a single kernel? No, a Brujo owns 48 kernels.
Right. So now we're going to see this world of all this stuff, right? This Brujo sorcery world. It is ridiculously complex and complicated and full of rigmarole and all sorts of ritual and formula and oh my, it's bureaucracy in another reality.
Mhm.
I mean,
What
isn't
do the
bureaucracy
kernels
all
do?
about power too? Right? All those rules.
Exactly, exactly. No, a Brujo owns 48 kernels. What do the kernels do, Don Juan? Each one of them can kill a man by entering into his body. How does a kernel enter into a human body? It is a power object, and its power consists, among other things, in entering into the body. What does it do when it enters into the body? It immerses itself in the body. It settles on the chest or in the intestines. The man becomes ill, and unless the Brujo who is tending him is stronger than the bewitcher, he will die within 3 months from the moment the kernel entered into his body. Is there any way of curing him? The only way is to suck the kernel out, but very few Brujos would dare to do that. A Brujo may succeed in sucking the kernel out, but unless he is powerful enough to repel it, it will get inside him and will kill him instead. But how does a kernel manage to enter into someone's body by a slingshot? Okay.
The way you read that, you really got a little bit of Don Juan's vibe there. Like, seriously, Carlos? Like, anyway.
Yeah. So by a slingshot, okay? This is how the kernel gets into the body.
Yeah.
To explain that, I must tell you about corn witchcraft, which is one of the most powerful witchcrafts I know. The witchcraft is done by two kernels. One of them is put inside a fresh bud of a yellow flower. The flower is then set into a spot where it will come into contact with the victim, the road on which he walks every day, or any place where he is habitually present. As soon as the victim steps on the kernel or touches it in any way, the witchcraft is done. The kernel immerses itself in the body. What happens to the kernel after the man has touched it? All its power goes inside the man, and the kernel is free. It becomes just another kernel. It may be left at the site of the witchcraft, or it may be swept away. It does not matter. It is better to sweep it away into the underbrush where a bird will eat it. Can a bird eat it before the man touches it? No. No bird is that stupid. I assure you, the birds stay away from it. Don Juan then described a very complex procedure by which such power kernels can be obtained. You must bear in mind that Mace Pinto is merely an instrument, not an ally. Once you make that distinction, you will have no problem. But if you consider such tools to be supreme, you will be a fool.
A warning, a direct warning to Carlos. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, Carlos doesn't go down this path, but, Don Juan just tells him straight out here, right? Don't be a fool, this. Yeah.
Are the power object as powerful as an ally? I asked. Don Juan laughed scornfully before answering. It seemed that he was trying hard to be patient with me. You were
Yeah.
understanding it. Okay. Mace Pinto, crystals, and feathers are more toys in comparison with an ally. These power objects are necessary only when a man does not have an ally. It is a waste of time to pursue them, especially for you. You should be trying to get an ally. When you succeed, you will understand what I'm telling you now. Power objects are like a game for children. Don't get me wrong, Don Juan. I protested. I want to have an ally, but I also want to know everything. Everything I can. You yourself have said that knowledge is power.
All right, all right. So here we get a quote coming, right? I remember this. See, I really know this work very well. And it's a very nice quote coming from Don Juan here. Right?
No, he said empathetically, powers rest on the kind of knowledge one holds. What is the sense of knowing things that are useless?
Yeah, yeah. So
Power rests on the kind of knowledge one holds.
yeah,
What is
one
the
moment
sense of
here, one
knowing
moment
things?
here, one moment here. I want to add this to the quote file, right? Oh, you were gonna pull yours, so you can add them too. Okay?
Have you shared it with me?
Shared what with you?
The book, your
Yeah,
email?
send it in an email. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, I don't know what. I don't know what page we're on. Let's see. Oh, I don't have page numbers. right. I'll share it with you afterwards, Beena, and then you can just copy and go across, right? This is very powerful, right? Power rests on the kind of knowledge one holds. What is the sense of knowing things that are useless? This was to me, the first quote that I pulled from this, because it reveals a moreness from Don Juan, right? And this discernment, capital D discernment, and also to understand that knowledge as in data is useless. Yeah, so it's the sense of knowing things that are useless, right? It doesn't matter. So the kind of knowledge, and knowledge is now we start to say knowledge is when you can use it and apply it. There's usefulness and value, then it matters. Other than that, it's just data. It's meaningless. There was a lot for me to, at least it grabbed my mind and said there's more here, right? And that's what I all took away from it. But it also showing that Don Juan has this depth of discernment, right? And he was very emphatic about this, right? He made a big point here. So it just reveals Don Juan's deeper psychology, reveals Don Juan's thoughts. And by the way, for me, Don here, Don is like Mr., right? Donna, right? It's just right. It's just a form of respect, right? Many different languages, cultures have something similar, right? But to me, it's capital D Don Juan, because that's become his name.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. just the way it goes.
Okay. In Don Juan's system of beliefs, the acquisition of an ally meant exclusively the exploitation of the states of non-ordinary reality he produced in me through the use of hallucinogenic plants. Oh, I need to read this again for myself. In Don Juan's system of belief, the accusation of an ally meant exclusively the exploitation of the states of non-ordinary reality. Oh, exploitation.
Don't worry about it too much. It's
Reality.
Carlos getting things wrong, so don't worry about it.
He produced in much through the use of hallucinogenic plants. He believed that by focusing on these states and omitting other aspects of the knowledge he taught, I would arrive at a coherent view of the phenomena I had experienced. I have therefore divided this book into two parts. In the first part, I present selections from my field notes dealing with the states of non-ordinary reality I underwent during my apprenticeship. As I have arranged my notes to fit the continuity of the narrative, they are not always in proper chronological sequence. I never wrote my description of a state of non-ordinary reality until several days after I have experienced it.
Louder, please.
Waiting. Sorry?
Just you were fading a bit.
Okay. I never wrote my descriptions of a state of non-ordinary reality until several days after I had experienced it, waiting until I was able to treat it calmly and objectively. My conversation with Don Juan, however, were taken down as they occurred, immediately, after each state of non-ordinary reality. My reports of these conversations, therefore, sometimes uh, antedata. I need a pronunciation for that. Antedata? Okay. The full description
I'm
of an
hearing you so
experience.
clearly. Yeah.
Okay.
Antedate.
My
Where is this? I'm not seeing the word.
Yes, antedate, the full description
Right.
of an experience.
Right. Just in time before.
Okay. My field notes disclose the subjective version of what I perceived while undergoing the experience. That version is presented here just as I narrated it to Don Juan, who demanded a complete and faithful recollection of every detail and a full recounting of each experience. At the time of recording these
Repeat that,
experiences,
Beena. I only realized
Yes.
this now. And when I put in repeat backs and takeaways into the programs, that was just based on my understanding of learning psychology. But it just struck me now that I'd forgotten all about this, that Don Juan demanded this of Carlos, that he give a repeat back of the experience. Well, recounting, it's not
Yes.
really a repeat back. It's kind of, there's some difference to it, but still, it's similar. That's very interesting.
My field notes disclose the subjective version of what I perceived while undergoing the experience. That version is presented here just as I narrated to Don Juan, who demanded a complete and faithful recollection of every detail and a full recounting of each experience. At the time of recording these experiences, I added incidental details in an attempt to recapture the total setting of each state of non ordinary reality. I wanted to describe the emotional impact I had experienced as completely as possible.
Right, right. And to his
My
credit,
feeling,
like I said, Carlos is quite diligent in faithfully and honestly recreating and representing what was going on. Right?
yes. My field notes also reveal the content of Don Juan's system of beliefs. I have condensed long pages of questions and answers between Don Juan and myself in order to avoid reproducing the repetitiveness of conversation. But as I also want to reflect accurately the overall mood of our exchanges. Please scroll. So please scroll up.
It's there.
Oh, okay, now it is for me. Okay, it's a delay. I
Yeah.
have deleted I have deleted only dialogue that contributed nothing to my understanding of this way of knowledge. The information Don Juan gave me about his way of knowledge was always sporadic, and for every spurt on his part, there were hours of probing on mine. Nevertheless, there were innumerable occasions on which he freely expounded his knowledge.
Okay. So sometimes Carlos really like is trying hard and don't want to tell him, and other times he freely said. It all depends on attunement for Don Juan. Right?
Yes.
Wonderful. We get to
Finally, we are at chapter one.
yeah.
This
Beena,
was the
I think
introduction.
let's start on chapter 1 tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Let's start on chapter 1 tomorrow. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We want to just say again about the relationship between Carlos and Don Juan. That Carlos is coming as this academic, like as anthropologist doing field studies, right? And today we still see it, right? The anthropologists, they go into the Amazon jungle or Africa or wherever, and they observe the indigenous culture, but they're very much an outsider. Yeah. And this is
Mhm.
what's taught in anthropology. You need to stay the outsider and not become an insider.
Ah.
Because they say when you become an insider, you lose perspective, you lose your objectivity, and then you don't get to really see the things for what it is. But Carlos is very much getting inside here, even though initially he's trying to stay outside, right? But he gets sucked in. He becomes an apprentice, which that's totally getting sucked in. But he still tries, right, to maintain
Mhm.
this. But over time, I don't know. if academically this is official now or not. But certainly many others later on said, no, the way to really get to know another culture is to get fully on the inside. And I know this from personal experience, right? Not that I was trying to do anything, it just happened. I became an insider with the Bushmen, right? And everything changed. I got to see a whole different world than what you will see if you stay an outsider. And I've written about this in the stories about my interactions with the Bushmen, right? Well, all those boffins, all those academics from all over the world would come and, and they got bogus information, right? Because they weren't insiders. So we have to be very careful of this anthropological method of observation and study. It's the idea, the motivation behind it is sound. Yes, it's well intentioned, but the reality doesn't support it. Are you with me, Beena?
Yes. This thing reminds me of your analogy when you say that always keeping the connection with the bigger picture, always connected to the abstract, like uh, scuba divers. You use that analogy. It applies in everything because there are some advantages, at least right now, to not become an insider because you have a different perspective, like your alien stories. They explore things in a completely different manner because they have no idea about these things. So they explore things in a very different way. But an insider who is now, they go into a different perspective. So it is, I think that okay to know and understand things using that scuba diving technique, that yes, diving deep, but always keeping that connection to the top, to the surface, intact and alive, is the key to understand things, maximize and maximizing it.
Say the last part again, please.
I was saying that okay, the scuba diving analogy is really, I think
Oh
that
yeah.
became most important for me because you are diving deep, you are becoming an insider, but also maintaining the connectivity to the
Oh,
surface, to the top.
always,
So
always.
yes, so having a perspective that having no expectations and no assumptions, especially that okay, don't assume anything, but also be an insider and be curious about tiny and trivial details also, which
Oh
gives you
yeah.
a complete
Oh yeah.
picture.
Oh yeah. But so the key here is arrogance, right? This anthro
Yes.
this anthropological perception or scientific perception, or it's really an academic perception that you need to study things objectively, right? Why? Because you, as this academic, this Westerner, it's a colonial perspective. It's a Western, very prominent in the West, but it's now gone all over the world. But it's now become an academic superiority perception. We, as the academics, we are sophisticated and we know what's going on. And of course, the indigenous people, well, they're just simple. So, you can see, you will be able to observe whatever's going on from the outside, which is complete and utter rubbish. Complete and utter rubbish. First of all, just because you don't have the same education doesn't necessarily not make you sophisticated, as I proved in that, or showed, or demonstrated, or related in that story about David, right? Where people said, "Take me to your leader." They didn't even have a leader, right? And they said, "Well, they want somebody to talk to." Oh, well, go talk to David. He likes to talk. So all these guys ended up talking to David because he liked to talk. And he would listen to them, and he'd spend an hour or two hearing what because they would ask questions, and through the questions they would reveal their particular point of view, their beliefs and their theory and everything, and then he'd spend the next couple of hours feeding it all back to them little by little, right? He gave them what they wanted, and they didn't have any clue at all. They didn't get any actual objective information. They just got their own ideas fed
Wow.
back to them. Yeah. Well, because David was a
Yes.
nice guy and this is what they wanted and he was being helpful. Right? plus it earned him a good tip. They were completely did not perceive this, right? And their arrogance never made them ask me anything. Yeah? To say I was the translator. I would have told them if they'd asked me. I was just very accurate, very scrupulous translator. If they'd asked me what I think, I would have given my opinion, but they never asked. So the sophistication of David, though, was astonishing. Right? Now, like in all people,
Yes.
you know, any group of people, you get some who are and some who aren't. You know, it all varies. But they had tremendous sophistication in their own bubble. Right? Just because they, you know, primitive supposed to be, no, that doesn't make them unsophisticated. You know, people don't always use their sophistication either. But this idea, though, it was, oh, these are simple people and they're easy to understand. And it's just arrogance, this whole idea of being objective and looking at it from the outside. There's no way you're going to get the full nuance of and detail if you stay an outsider. Only when you become an insider will you really know what's going on. And we're going to see some energy stuff too, you know, that came into my experience with the Bushmen. Which is very interesting, very similar to what, like, well, all right, the thing with the corn, the kernel, right? The energy going on. So I'll relate the story again for the Bushman because it applies here, and we have a little bit of time. So I'm on this game ranch, right, to get the context, and it's on top of a big mountain plateau, right? Well, some hills and stuff on the mountain. It's like a whole world up there, right? You think you're on a regular world, but you're actually on top of this whole big mountain, right? And and the Bushmen had, it was a game ranch, and the owners of the game ranch had heard about this tribe of the last remaining tribe of South African Bushmen. They were Namibian Bushmen and Botswana Bushmen, but the last remaining tribe of South African Bushmen. They were living on this farm and basically living off charity from the shepherds. They were in real dire straits, right? They were really struggling. The shepherds there are like at the very bottom of the social order and economic order, and so they were really struggling, right? Because they couldn't really hunt anymore because they were living on private property and all this. So anyway, so they said, well, you know, they're Bushman paintings, cave paintings here on the game ranch. So they lived here once upon a time. Let's invite them to come and live here now. And they did. So they came to live there. And I came to know them. And well, the story of how I came to be an insider, it's a very cool story. It's about the tiny pot on the little fire, or the little pot on the tiny fire. A very cool story about me wanting to taste donkey. Anyway, but and then as things went along, you know, I was a translator because I spoke a common language, and a lot of people came and they spoke English, and the Bushmen didn't speak English anyway. So I spent a lot of time there. So I was putting up a restaurant, and we only had business on the weekend. So during the week, I spent time with the Bushmen. And so then the winter was coming, and their little huts that they make, so very tiny little things just made out of reed. They were, it snows on the mountain quite heavily, and they wouldn't hold the weight of the snow, and they wouldn't be very insulated either. So they asked me to build them more sturdy huts, right? Okay. Uh, and so I went and I asked them. I said, "Where would you like your huts?" Right? I was being very courteous and considerate. But there was one younger woman. Her name was Lace. Very kind of fierce. She had a lot of energy, right? Very, very, a lot of alacrity. And I got another nice story about Lace too. But you know, there's some very cool Bushman stories. It's a wonderful experience. Anyway, so I come to ask Lace, and Lace really just kind of lays into me, and just gives it to me like really very annoyed and very irritated, right? And almost scolds me. It's like, what the hell are you asking us for? This is your job. You're in charge. You must do this. And I tried to explain to her, but I'm trying to be considerate of it. And she says, no, but from her mindset, I needed to just say where it must go and take the authority and do this. Very alien kind of a psychology, right? But she's really annoyed at me. And then I got annoyed at her being annoyed at me. It's like you're being unreasonable, girl. I mean, seriously, I'm really just trying to be considerate and helpful here. Okay, I sort of get what you're saying, but you don't have to be so annoyed with me and so irritated and so angry with me. You're really angry with me. So I gave it back to her, that energy, right? And I kind of let her have it a bit and scolded her back. I'm like, seriously, what the hell is this all about? Anyway, and off she goes, and I come back later on, and I see, oh my God, there's lace lying on her back, and all the other women are all tending and around her. Oh my God, did I get black looks from them? Oh, hell's bells. I mean, seriously, those looks were like the blackest of black looks that you can possibly imagine. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Obviously, Lace is not well. Lace is ill. And so eventually I got to ask somebody what's going on. Say, oh, this is your fault. You did this to her. And what did I do to Lace? I didn't do anything to her. How can I make her ill? Said the energy you put into her.
Wow.
That was a wake up for me. That was a wake up for me because I could feel it at the time, me transferring that energy, that intent energy, right? I could feel it. I knew it. I was very clear about it, right? Then I was like, hey, you pushing this stuff on me. I'm like, no, none of this. Yeah, here's it back to you, right? Plus a bit extra, maybe. I realized my own power then. And that's the energy Don Juan is talking about with the corn, right? The corn is merely a mechanism for doing that. It's very childish. You just do it directly, right? You have the power, you have the knowledge, right? So we do this without knowing. But all of these are just mechanisms for utilizing this in an indirect way, right? Because you might not be next to the person to do this, blah, blah. Anyway, it's getting into power dynamics, hierarchy, superiority rubbish,
Yes.
that whole
Yes.
third thing. But it's still part of the same mechanism, right? But that really woke me up, and I felt really bad, So anyway, I ended up having a good relationship with life, so it wasn't with all of it, so it was all good. But it was still a wake up call. Still a wake up call.
Yes.
It's very interesting, yes.
Yes. Yes.
So I mentioned this because energy, or well, power is energy that you can use. Okay,
Hmm.
impeccability is
Yes.
all about the best use of energy. When you are able to use your energy in a very potent way, then you start to have power, right? So it's all about,
Yes.
first of all, you have to get the energy, and then you have to learn how to use the energy. But you can't learn how to use the energy if you don't have it in the first place. And this is the core theme of what Don Juan is all about. So it starts there, and we see about inappropriate usage of energy and wasteful usage of energy, and petty power, which is just nonsense, right? So there's little p power and capital P power. You, know? You have to be very careful with power. It's very corruptive, as we see. All right. On that note, any more comments or questions, ideas,
Yes.
perspectives?
No, just because today the introduction was brief, but it was full of hints that how things are going to be,
Exactly.
because the
Exactly.
questions, yes, the questions Carlos was asking to Don
Yeah.
Juan was, I don't think of him as stupid, because when when you encounter something completely out of your understanding, then it's like, oh wow. So even if it is just like, just imagine that an alien, as you mentioned that in the story, that when alien come and they see things, how they react. They ask questions which are super interesting, but also like, oh, seriously? Okay.
Right. Right. It
They were
should. It's all should. Right. Like Carlos,
yes,
superiority paradigm. You well, you should
yes.
ask which is the most powerful one.
And power is super interesting idea for mostly for human, unless or until uh, you understand something. And I think that peace of being is something which makes you really a super human being, or super entity, or
Exactly.
anyway whatever you want to call yourself, because peace of being is the real superpower.
Well,
You
yes,
don't
it's the start of the real superpower, because you need to have peace of being and then use that to get to have independence
yes,
of being.
yes, yes, yes.
I mean, in
So
the
that
way
is
you're
something
saying it,
interesting.
it's the same thing.
Yes. Okay. So this was the end of introduction of now, and now we
Correct.
are going to start chapter one from Monday.
Exactly.
because tomorrow is Saturday, and then maybe Sunday. I don't know, that we will see. But most likely
What is
we will
today?
do
What is
it
today? Friday?
from Friday.
So we will do it on Sunday. Yes, chapter 1 on Sunday. Yeah.
Okay, so we will see you guys on Sunday with chapter 1, and hopefully I will have my course and everything ready from introduction, and then we will get into more detail. I This is becoming interesting for me because especially for the story about that colonel and the witchcraft and other things, not
Oh,
interested into the magic type of thing,
yeah.
but the
It's
concept
fascinating though.
behind that. Because yes, so because my understanding is about magic is about, it's a pure intent, focused pure intent, that's it. And of course everything, if you have a clarity of intent, if you have focused intent, then everything has power and everything can create magic. But yes, some tools people have been knowledgeable about that and they were using these things. That will be interesting to know more about these things and other things. But the main abstract concept for me is the concept of all these things. Using a power and being able to use these
Exactly.
powers is the real thing.
And see, Beena, you
So
have a
thank you
great
so much, sir.
advantage because you are able. You're coming through the language of conceptionality, right?
Exactly.
You're
Exactly.
applying it here, and
Ex-
this changes everything. It
Exactly.
enables perception, it enables discernment, it enables understanding, and it enables application. Yeah,
Exactly.
huge
Exactly.
learning as a learning tool. It's incredible the value of it.
Yes.
Changes everything.
Yes. Yes.
Super
So
wonderful,
thank you
magical
so much,
Venus.
Phil. Thank you so much, everyone who ever watching were watching us live and with us in live, and will watch us recorded. Please do click like and subscribe and leave a comment here.
Hold on. I'm gonna say hello
And
to Norma. I missed Norma's
hello,
comment there.
Norma. Okay.
She just joined. She just joined a few minutes ago. Sorry, late soul.
Oh,
Joined, but watch
no
tomorrow.
problem.
Absolutely, always Norma. Always
Sunday. Sunday. Sunday.
Sunday. Sunday. We'll carry on Sunday, so you get a chance to catch up, Norma. Yeah.
Yes.
And Norma
Yes.
says, "Hi, Beena. We'll join now, but watching tomorrow." That's perfect.
Yes, Norma, I would love to hear more from you also.
Yes.
Of course, in comments and whenever you want to. I'm just saying that for my personal interest, that yes, because you mentioned that you read about Don Juan long ago. This would be very nice to hear from you also.
Yes.
So thank you.
Always.
Please
We
please
love
do
doing
share.
it.
Yes, please do share about this. And we will see you guys on Sunday. Before going again, I would say that because this is something I love and to emphasize on every single time, that if you want moreness in your life, please pay attention to your algorithm, because your online algorithm is going to ultimately change your life algorithm. Please do pay attention into these type of things. When you meet someone, if you like them, you greet them exactly like this. Online, if you like something, please click a like there, because algorithm is going to give you more and more to learn from that, and of course to share more from you also. So please, we are keen to see you guys, and questions and comments and whatever you want to. Thank you so much. See you guys on Sunday. Bye bye, Sil.
Yes. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. See you soon, Norma. I mean, Venus. End meeting and meeting for